Yeah. Uh, we're about to break the first rule of Fight Club, actually.
Oh
And
damn.
I actually didn't want to say this, man. I gotta be honest. Because I was watching like a few essays on YouTube and stuff like that, and people analyzing this movie, and every fucking person starts their video essay with those words. And like, I've just became the personification of a snowflake, of a unique snowflake. And see, I know people might have already recognized by the thumbnail that this is gonna be more of a roast than a praise, but if this movie gave us anything, it's the term unique snowflake. They actually coined that. Oh man. So Alex, yeah, Fight Club, man. When did you see it the first time?
That's a good question. It's actually been out quite a while when I watched it.
Hmm.
Um, but I cannot actually tell you when it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
exactly.
I'm not really surprised because, yeah, I keep thinking about the marketing of the movie
Oh
before we
yeah.
started the stream. See, when I was hesitant watching this for the first time. I eventually watched it because it's like in the top 20 of IMDb. It's pretty up there, and yeah, this is like a movie. It's like, okay, everyone talks about it. I gotta watch this at some point. But when it comes to the marketing stuff, I'd say it's like kind of like a fighting movie, and it's also called Fight Club, and it's completely. It's not really about fighting, in this movie. That's what like
Yes.
I can imagine like back in the days, 1999, the year when The Matrix came out. What an awesome year for cinema.
Yeah.
Um, like this movie came out, people must have been confused, especially like the marketing department. Like, how are we gonna do the marketing for this video? For this movie? Huh. I mean, how would you like do the trailers for this movie? I don't know.
Yeah, actually, and this is the key thing you just mentioned, and it was the case for me back in the days when I was uh, a weak, yeah, boy,
Yeah.
man, whatever, and definitely not the caliber I am today. But back in the days, I didn't like fighting. I thought it was bad, and the violence was bad, and all of this.
Hmm.
So when I heard about Fight Club, I was like, nah, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Until someone actually told me, no, that's it's not much about fighting really. It's actually great movie about masculinity. Although this is debatable, we will get into this.
Yeah.
Um, but then I was like, okay, let's give it a try. And back then I actually liked it very much. But there are a few things we need to talk about in that movie.
Same here, man. I gotta say this movie kind of aged badly for me.
Oh yes,
Of course, we're gonna get into the meat and we're gonna explain why and how. This is gonna take some time, but yeah, I remember that there's like this one scene where Tyler and the nameless protagonist, so to speak, are in the bus driving,
oh yeah,
and then Brad Pitt is pointing. I think it's like a Calvin Klein poster in the bus. It's like, hey, is this what man's supposed to look like? And I remember I really loved this segment in the movie when I was like teenagers. How old was I? Maybe 17, maybe 19. I don't know. Definitely a time where I would also consider myself a weak boy. Just like you said it. I definitely
yeah.
was. Yeah, I remember there were like so many like quotes, super cool quotes, super edgy. It's like I would say it's the perfect movie for a man who's for a boy who is in puberty. The
Oh yes.
perfect movie. Boys are gonna associate with this stuff so much. It's like a rebellious movie, stuff like that. They love this, man. But I changed my mind a bit there.
Yeah, I liked your wording there that you used edgy because that's definitely what this movie really is. Um, because a bunch of things in there were really just yeah to be rebellious and to just go
Hmm.
against the grain, so to speak. And yeah, back then I liked that, of course, especially also the scene with yeah, is that what's a man is supposed to look like.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was just really this idea that society is telling you what you should look like and
Hmm.
be like. And obviously, as a young boy, I don't like it or liked it. Now, obviously, these days, I still have my issues with society and what is
Hmm.
being pushed by the media, obviously. But it's from a completely different angle, so that's different. But back then, it was really just yeah. I think everyone wanted to be Tyler Durden because he was just very very direct and open. He just spoke his mind at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, as a teenage boy, you think this is great and this is how you should do it. Although it obviously has implications.
Mm-hmm.
But another scene that stuck in my mind, I don't know what do you think of it, but this was really, I think before the Fight Club even happened,
Mm-hmm.
when he was searching for a place to rest overnight, and he didn't want to directly ask Tyler if he can sleep at his place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he was sort of pissed by that. Or not pissed, but he just said, just ask, man. What's the issue? Just ask me. You know?
Mhm.
And I like this because it really because people are so hesitant about just asking something they want
Yeah. Yeah.
or asking for something they want. So this is something I would say was actually good because I liked the openness and the directness of just asking what you want. So
It's also they
yeah,
have like this talk in the airplane when Tyler is telling him doing like this soap thing or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Before that, the protagonist asks him, "What do you do for a living?" And then Tyler answers, "Why? So you can pretend you're interested." Stuff
Yes.
like that. So yeah. It's of course it's like cool and edgy, and of course I'm gonna laugh at it. It's kind of good humor, but yeah, the question is how applicable is this into real life? Is this because if I would meet someone like that in real life, I watch this in a movie and I think cool, he's edgy and stuff like that. He's masculine. But if I meet someone like that in real life, I say, "Fuck you, man." You know?
Yeah, exactly.
That's not how you're supposed to interact with someone else. It's like he comes across as a very there's a reason I put pseudo adults in the thumbnail. Because that's really how I would believe boys who are in puberty would act, you know. But this is not something that I would describe as adulthood. This is just straight up rebelling, in my opinion, you know.
Yes, I also think absolutely. And if you think about it, it's also a sort of nihilistic worldview that everything is just shit and you just need to just accept it and speak your mind at all times. Okay, fine, but there isn't really some sort of drive of something he wants to achieve or create, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This soap company and even what he's trying to do in the end, this is really just what's really the goal behind that, in my opinion, other than like making money. Yeah, but then for what are you going to do with that in the end? And that sort of struck me a bit weird. Back then I didn't think about it at all, but it's sort of this, as you said, this pseudo adulthood, just doing something but not really doing something with purpose there, with an idea what you want to achieve with it. And it's just it's for me a bit lacking purpose there.
That's a nice. It's good that you said it, because if you hadn't, then I would have probably mentioned it. It's a little bit. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong saying this, but this movie is like a representation of the red pill. It really points out maybe what's wrong, but there's like no solution to it. There's no solution to it at all. It's not a solution to if you see that you're lacking purpose in life and you have a job you hate and you can barely get the things you like for food, like you were basically working in a cubicle. Just going into an underground fight club and beating each other up for like no reason, that's not actually a purpose, you know.
Yeah, that's actually a great metaphor you used there with the red pill.
Yeah.
Because there are many more similarities in my opinion. For example, also the relationship he has with that woman. Tyler has, I would say. It's not really a relationship, is it? He's just railing her pretty good, apparently. But that's just it. Nothing else. And this is also what I think you'll learn with the red pill. Like the general red pill out there. You really only learn how to get women and maybe how to lay them well, but how to establish a relationship you really don't learn. This is also something, I think.
That's something I really like that you said it, because I was trying to get a bit into the meat and trying to find out what the author was actually thinking. And the author, I hope I spell his name right. I think it's Chuck Palahniuk. It's directed by David.
No idea.
Directed by David Fincher, and it's written by Chuck. I'll go with Palahniuk. Did you know he first came up with the idea for the novel? So it's been a novel before. It's been a movie. Quoted many times on Twitter every day. I see quotes from this Chuck Palahniuk guy every day on Twitter. It's super popular. I first came up with the idea for a novel after being beaten up on a camping trip when he complained some nearby campers about the noise of their radio. And then when he returned to work, he was fascinated to find that no one would mention or acknowledge his injuries. Instead, they saying like commonplace things like, "Oh, how was your weekend?" And Palaknui concluded that the reason people reacted this way was because if they had asked him what had happened, this would mean they would have to do some kind of personal interaction that would be necessary, and his workmates simply didn't care enough to connect with him on a personal level. And it was his fascination with this societal blocking which became the foundation for the novel. It's pretty interesting to see that this is like the heart of the story, but yeah, it makes sense retroactively, definitely. What would
Yeah,
you
it
say?
absolutely makes sense. I also didn't know that, so thank you for
Yeah, sure.
telling me this, and the listeners as
It's
well.
it's uh,
Um,
it's it's on IMDb. It's sometimes really interesting to go into the
yes.
trivia sections. Also, everyone who's listening, if you're really interested in the movie, you should always check out the trivia section on IMDb. It's a super fun anecdotes and like trivia like that. It's really insightful. Alex, didn't want to interrupt you.
No, all good.
Mm.
Yeah, but also I didn't know that, but it makes a lot of sense for also how the whole story was set up, and he then just elaborated on it. But this also explains why there isn't an actual solution to this whole thing, because
Mm.
it really only just experienced that, and then his conclusion was of this societal strangeness, I would say. But he doesn't have a solution to the whole problem, obviously, and to the whole idea behind it. And I think this just shows quite well. It's still interesting
Hmm.
to see, and obviously in his case that this happened. And I'm not sure if it's really because people don't care enough. I think it's also I would say some people at least, they don't want to ask because yeah, they might get into something too emotional for you. Like they don't want you to open up about whatever happened because maybe there was a bad reason why you were beaten up.
Yeah.
So they rather don't ask. It could be both, mixture of both. I don't know, but I think there is more to it than just.
You know
But
what?
it's still obviously weird that people don't ask you about it, something
Yeah.
this obvious.
You know what I'm being reminded of is the talk we had with Life Math Money on the show a few weeks, months before. And the first question I asked both of you guys is why are you like so affirmative when it comes to people should live in tribes. And
Yes.
that's a little bit what I've been reminded of. It's again the author Chuck Palahniuk. He comes across yes, society bad and stuff like that. But how am I gonna I'm gonna keep up a intimate relationship with I don't know 500,000 people in my metropolis? It just doesn't work.
Yes, exactly.
See,
This is also what I mentioned before with that you have a ton of people around you at all times, but you are actually quite lonely still because you don't really know any of them. And even if you know, for example, your colleagues at work, because you see them every day, you don't really know them, and most people also don't want to know them. Because this is also, I think, protection mechanism people have, because any person you really know deep down, you also know their issues, right? And people, especially these days, have enough issues.
definitely.
Even if it's just a mean tweet, but there is an issue.
Yeah, also like
But
if I had the
yeah,
choice, man, I wouldn't want if I had a 9 to 5 job, of course, I wouldn't have wanted anyone at work to know about my really personal things. That's not what work is there for. I would purposefully keep it out of workplaces. They also always say never start a relationship with a girl you met at
yeah,
work, and that's of course a non-explanatory why this should be the case. Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
So,
don't
so
fuck the company.
yeah, and in this little piece of trivia, as interesting as it is, Chuck Palahniuk kind of cries about it. It's like, yeah, why is no one interested in me? And yeah, maybe because that's not the way it's supposed to be, you know. Because I mean, if I don't know, if I would come up with a scar on my face and stuff like that, if something bad happened and I got beaten up by some guy, next day I'm going to work or school, I wouldn't want anyone to tell about that. I probably keep this to myself or like to my very close friends, girlfriend, parents, whatever, you know.
Yes, exactly. Because I always thought back in the days, I always thought I'm the weird guy if I don't share personal
Mm,
stuff at the job. Um, but because people were always asking about stuff,
yeah.
and like not when you were beaten up, but like the regular stuff. How's it going with the family? Just
Mm,
I was just always very very hesitant to talk about this because
yeah.
I really didn't want these people to know the details of my life. Because I don't. For me, back in the days, it was really I don't see the reason why, because it's not like we have this deep of relationship that the information you get from this is in any way, shape, or form helpful for you or me. So why would I talk about it? As opposed to like with friends, which I
Hmm.
see regularly, and actually they can maybe help me with something or whatever. But with a colleague, why would I like tell them my relationship
Not
problems?
not to
It's
not to mention, especially when you're in a workplace environment, they also have like leverage over you.
yes,
That's
big
like
thing.
like I don't know how people are so stupid not to see like two chess moves ahead. Like see, yeah, if I tell him like, yeah, my wife's gonna divorce me. Oh, this could maybe backfire. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
it's tough, tough.
Yeah, it's weird, but also interesting that because I think in the movie, if I remember correctly, when he was beaten up, the protagonist, and then was at work the next day, um, this was pretty much a real life scenario then that happened, right?
Hmm.
Which was put in the movie. Quite interesting because I didn't know that. I just thought he had this idea.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
It's interesting what he was thinking. There's also one thing I don't quite like about this anecdote because again he's like saying, yeah, well, society bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always people. I know we talked about this last week at Joker, but I see a common thread there. It's like yeah, it's like, yeah, society bad again, you know, like as if society is like some kind of person you can that can be responsible for anything bad that happens in your life. Like yeah, society is more of like an idea. People say, is society bad? I don't know,
Yeah,
man.
but
No.
even if we could pin it down to one person, let's use Trump for example.
Okay. Oh my God! This is like
Yeah, we're
we're
gonna
like
do that.
losing subs like 50% of all subs. And so.
No, let's just say
Uh-huh.
for the sake of the whole
Sure.
discussion that Trump is at fault because that's what they like to say, right?
Mm.
So he is society, right, and doing all of this. But even if that's the case, moaning about society and talking shit over it, what
Mm.
does this do for your life, right?
Yeah.
Because this is really what I've been teaching men for, yeah, it's even years now,
Mm-hmm.
that regardless of the circumstances of your life, regardless of how society is set up, you still need to fix your life.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot fix society, even if there is such a thing, even if it were. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, Fight Club makes fun of this as well, with the scene in Train, for example. And back in the day, this also struck me a bit weird. I mean, as a teenager, you like it, of course, because you want to be rebellious, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But later, you just realize, or you should realize, if you become a real adult, that this doesn't do anything, doesn't change anything. And moaning how society is, or the people, or whatever, yeah, that's not helping you in any case at all. And this was, looking back now, this was my issue, or is my issue with this movie. I think mostly that, as you say, it's just society bad. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a victim position, and yeah, pretty much crying about it. What does it really do, you know? And even Tyler Durden, who sees reality pretty much how it operates
Mm-hmm.
and sees through this bullshit and is completely edgy, and that's why people like him. Yeah, fine, but what he does still doesn't do anything
Mm-hmm.
in the end. It still doesn't help his life in any shape or form, except for maybe money he gets from the soap stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. But outside of that, he still is just drifting around, not doing anything of worth. And this is what I don't like about this movie.
I would agree with that. I would probably have a few more issues with this movie.
Yeah, of
It's
course.
yeah,
There's more.
yeah. It's like I always kind of feel a little bit like hesitant because last week we already talked about a movie which most people really love, and it has a high rating on IMDb. And Fight Club is a movie that even more people love. And I don't know, man.
Yeah,
What's
but
it? What?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, no. You go ahead, man.
Yeah, but this brings me back to the red pill metaphor you brought earlier. And the reason I think why Fight Club is so highly rated and why everyone likes the red pill and why it sells so well is I told this actually to someone this week earlier in Twitter on Twitter because he asked me because it sells so well. It takes away all responsibility from you. You can just blame women for the red pill in this case, or you can blame society that everything is shit but you don't have to do anything. You still can say, all right, society just sucks. This is all weird with all these IKEA furniture stuff thingies and make fun of it. Okay, fine. And this is just easy, you know. It's the easy approach to being edgy because you know how reality works and you can make fun of it. You can make cool videos and all of this. But actually giving people a way to do something with it, that's the key that's missing, in my opinion. Also with these days, Red Pill. Because the Red Pill itself has a lot of tools you can use, which are helpful. But some of them are just, bullshit, and they don't do anything.
I also like the metaphor for another reason, because like red pill is like something you could say, okay, a pill is a drug, you know?
Yeah.
And the Fight Club, or the Fight Club movie, I'd say it's just another drug that temporarily makes you feel very good, but you don't actually create something. Especially that this is ironic. You know, at the end, Project Mayhem. This is what Fight Club eventually culminates to. Project Mayhem's goal is actually to merely destroy only, not to create.
Yes.
This is actually the complete opposite of, in my opinion, or in our opinion, what we should do. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead, be brave, and say that Fight Club is actually a bad movie for masculinity. I'm gonna say this right now, and people might crucify me for that.
Yeah, there's a guy on YouTube. I don't know when it was. I just had I copy pasted some snippets here and there, and there was a guy on YouTube, and he said, let me find it. I believe he said every teenage boy should have at least seen this movie once. And I would disagree, man. It's like of course watch it. It's a good movie in terms of movies. You know, it's still a good movie. I love David Fincher movies, man. I don't think this guy has ever done a bad movie in his life, and I don't think I can say this about any other director alive.
Right.
But it's I don't know. See, have you watched this movie as a teenager? Like, I'm talking 16 to maybe 20.
No, it was later.
Okay, because I've watched this first time when I was a teenager. Like I said, I don't remember, 17, 18, 19. It must have been somewhere around that. And I was watching this movie while having something that I would call an existential crisis, which
perfect.
Definitely, yeah. And I gotta say, this is probably the worst movie you should watch when you are in a situation like that. This is I don't know. Like there's for example, see when men don't have real purpose to prove themselves, they turn to chaos, you know, and this movie kind of exemplifies that. It's
if
not.
you think about the whole, as you mentioned, the whole ending of this movie, the Project Mayhem. It's not just that it's really only destruction and doesn't create anything. It does create anarchy again, right? We talked about this last week with Joker. It's the same outcome, pretty much, just a little bit different in display.
Yeah.
But again, it's just trying to destroy the current establishment, but then there is no plan after that. You know, it's like people trying to go into politics because they think the current establishment is bullshit. Yeah, that's fine, but do you have a plan for after that? Like, do you have any idea what we're going to do after the current establishment is gone and then we build something anew? No, they just want the current thing to be gone or make fun of, like Fight Club did it. But yeah, there's a complete lack of what you actually should be doing to create a great life with your manhood, your masculinity. Yeah,
there's also like this one scene that I keep thinking about this, where Liv Tyler is splicing like single frames of pornography into a family film at the cinema. You remember this scene?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's like a straight up prank. But that's basically what it is, you know. And this is what teenage boys do. They do pranks, you know. They do they put up fireworks in people's mailboxes and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what teenage boys do. It's not what a. If I think of a man, when I close my eyes and I think about a man, there's like a very specific image. Maybe it's Sean Connery, James Bond. Maybe it's something a little bit different. I have a specific image in my head, and I don't see this man doing stuff like that. You know, like giggling in
Yes,
the background, saying,
absolutely.
to
Yeah.
just put like porn in a family movie. Yeah, of course it's funny, but it's yeah, it's a little bit too old for that now.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny when you're 17, 18, and
Hmm.
you still think that sex is somewhat funny in some case or
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
So yeah, then at that point it is funny, yeah. But once you grow up, as you mentioned, this is also why I like what you put on the thumbnail because
Hmm.
they aren't adults at all in this movie.
Hmm.
Even though they do, I would say, grown up things like I wouldn't even say it's grown up things like beating each other up, but it's
Mm.
usually what only grown ups do in this sort of fashion. Yes, but yeah, it's really. I think also even the underground fight club itself.
Hmm.
It's supposed to be this display of masculinity and being in your root as a man, right? I think
Mm.
it's also in the movie. I'm not quite sure actually that this is just something any man wants to do. I think he says deep down. I'm not quite sure,
Hmm.
but regardless, I think it's just stupid. Even if that's your deepest drive to some degree, at least make it competitive and become a competitive fighter. Fine, but just doing just this beating up for what, right? For what is
Yeah,
what's the goal
I
there?
like the fact that they are beating up each other, but next day they go back to their shitty job. You know.
Yeah.
So this is basically a drug. It's like playing video games at
Yes.
the evening, which makes you temporarily feel good, or like you always teach, making you feel like you have achieved something. But next day you go back to your shitty job. You know, so it's not
Yeah.
a
So you didn't
solution
achieve
there.
anything.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You managed nothing. There is this fake accomplishment. It's actually the same thing you get with porn, right?
Yeah.
When you shoot it, your mind gives you this dopamine rush of you have done
Mm.
something because the sexual drive is the deepest drive of achievement for
Yeah.
humans, obviously, because otherwise our species would be dead.
Mm.
And but you didn't really do anything, right? You didn't achieve anything. It's this fake dopamine drug rush, so to speak, you get from your mind. And you're
Mm.
completely right. This Fight Club thing is like the underground Fight Club is exactly the same. It's the drug they use so they feel alive, probably through pain. I guess this is how it mostly works. But then the next day, life is still the same. So
Mm.
what's the point, really?
Yeah. According also to the to the author Chuck Palahniuk, while he was writing the novel, he also interviewed numerous young males in white collar jobs, or so speak 9 to 5 jobs, right? And discovering that the quote unquote longing for fathers was a theme they heard a lot about. You know, the resentment of lifestyle standards imposed by advertising was another. Let's talk about the first thing. The longing
Oh
for
yeah.
fathers was a theme I heard a lot about. Um, don't want to say this like in any disrespectful way, but I know about your own personal situation, Alex. You know,
Yes.
and I know that you have taken like a different route. You know, you could have you could have become like an anarchist Joker kind of guy, but you took a little bit of a different route in life, despite sure that you were longing for a father figure yourself for a long time. Um, yeah, this is like this again. This sounds to me like an excuse. Like, yeah, if you're longing for a father figure in life, that means okay. That's eventually you're gonna turn into anarchism and rebellion and stuff like that. But I know people like you, and I know that there are other ways as well.
Yes, exactly. I think in this case of like Fight Club or even the novel he wrote, I think and these people he asked these young men, I think it's rooted in resentment, in my opinion, that they didn't have this father figure, so they are resentful about society again that they
Yeah.
didn't provide them with a father figure or whatever the reason was the father figure was not around. But it's rooted in resentment. This is also why it turns into this anger they need to release somehow pretty
Mhm.
quickly. And yeah, I think this is really just again the teenage rebellion thing. Also, not being able to control your emotions because I think, and you know where this is from, right? I totally believe with what I'm about, or believe in what I'm about to say right now, is that any man needs to forgive his father.
Mhm.
This is an absolute key thing, even if you never met him, like
Mhm.
in my case,
Mhm.
or even if he was not a good father figure, if he was weak, if he was too strict, whatever.
Mm.
Any man needs to forgive his father for what he did, good or bad, at some point. Because after all, he's just a human, right? And he has flaws. And I think these white collar dudes that were asked there, I think they are still set in this resentment towards their father for whatever reason, multiple reasons, I guess. So this is why they long for this sort of anarchy to burn it all down, to get this anger out, and this resentment. But this doesn't really do anything, and especially if you don't have a plan afterwards. Like in my case, obviously, I decided that this doesn't do anything for my life if I decide to burn everything down. So I really just applied conscious thought to that, and then figured, all right, I need to forgive him. He might have had his reasons to leave my mother when she was pregnant, whatever the reasons were.
Yeah.
I cannot know because I'm not in his shoes, right? Maybe there's actually quite a good reason. Maybe not. Maybe he was weak. But either way, it doesn't change my life if I am being resentful towards him and this whole thing. And I need to let that go and create my own life out of this. And this, I think, is a very important lesson, the forgiveness for your father there, which is completely lacking in many men actually these days. Because as you probably would agree, there aren't many great father figures out there these days.
I agree, yeah. It's almost like you have like a free ticket, Whenever you had like a bad father figure in life or no father figure at all, that means I'm entitled to to rebel or do stuff like that. That gives you like a free ticket to do these things, and I have a big problem with that. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's almost this kind of excuse to being a dick. I'm an asshole, because my father was weak. It's like, okay, maybe, but really that's not the reason why you need to be this way.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still become a decent person and you don't need to fuck shit up just because your childhood was tough or something. This also something I hear a lot, like when someone had a tough childhood or whatever, and they don't actually make something out of it, they become pretty much useless, but asshole-ish. Then they keep blaming all their life their childhood, which was maybe even 20, 30 years prior. And they still blame it on what happened back then. And then you gotta say, dude, there's been 20 years. When will you finally let go of this shit?
Yeah, klar.
And it's actually a very, very cheap excuse in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's there are many issues with this movie, and the more we talk about it, the more I grow to many people say like this is like the opposite of woke movies, or this is like a movie that wouldn't probably exist nowadays. Which this is like the other thing next to Hitler. I always mention in every fucking stream. I always mention Hitler. But it's always the question: would Fight Club be allowed to be produced in 2021? I think Joker was. Of course, there are like certain aspects where I don't know. I have the feeling that look, this time I wasn't looking up for any articles, but I can already imagine like Fight Club is like a portrayal of toxic masculinity, like men beating each other up and stuff like that, which is to a degree because they're doing it for no fucking reason, so it doesn't actually make any sense.
I was gonna say this might be the only time I would actually agree with that statement of toxic masculinity, because just random violence without any use, I would say that is a bad form of masculinity. Yes, absolutely. So and the only use they get from it is their fix for their addiction, so to speak, via that pain, and this doesn't do anything. So I'm not against violence at all. I think it does have its merit in some situations, but it needs to serve a greater goal, right? And this absolutely doesn't. And this is why I would actually, for once, agree with the woke crowd.
Yes, absolutely. It's I would like, if you had asked me like 5, 6, 7 years ago if I would ever roast this movie in any kind of, I'd probably say no damn chance. But it's like, I don't know, man. I hope like in 20 years or something, I'm gonna roast probably the Shawshank Redemption and stuff like that. I gotta be careful, man. Oh man, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I really gotta say, I briefly mentioned it before. I really love David Fincher movies, and what I said, I actually mean it. I don't think there's like one bad movie that came out of him. I don't know. Are you like familiar with David Fincher movies?
Not really, actually.
Mm. Yeah, like there's like I wouldn't even call Fight Club my favorite. I wouldn't call Fight Club my favorite at all. There's like The Game with Michael Douglas, Seven again with Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman.
All right.
Stuff like that. Zodiac, which I really love. I love The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. This is also some. I don't know if you know those movies. It's really like I actually love David Fincher. I just have a problem with Fight Club, which deemed to be his best movie. It's like, oh man,
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it actually was born out of his own beating up and probably some sort of resentment. Even though he had the realization of what happened there,
yeah,
like in the office, but still, the basic root of how this movie was really made is because he's got beaten up because he actually stood up for himself, and so yeah,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
there's this negative energy still in the movie.
Yeah, it's hard, man. Yeah, I don't blame David Fincher. I blame the author of this whole thing.
Yeah.
This Chuck guy, you know. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough to find out why and how. But there's something about this movie that's really like, yeah, it's hard for me, dude. Are you in the stream right now? Do you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta show you something, man. I was finding something in the internet, and
Yeah, it was also just checking IMDb reviews.
Yeah.
It's actually quite interesting.
Oh, it is.
Dude,
It is.
yeah, some dude said he saw it again when he was 13. I was like,
What?
like, like when was the first time you watched it?
Yeah, this is like an R-rated movie. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
So you can check out the screen, man. There's like this tweet. There's been this tweet, and oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna read it out loud. It's gonna be difficult for Spotify listeners, but there's like a picture of Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver, from Tyler Durden from Fight Club, Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, and Joker from Joker, and it says Travis Bickle is my spirit animal, Tyler Durden is my true mentor, Patrick Bateman is my role model, and Joker is my idol. And then the next sentence really kicks me off. They are society's indifference personified. And I'm like, they're actually all based on society. You know,
Yes.
their whole purpose is to tear society down. There's like, society is like kind of like their purpose, you know? And saying they are
also-
society's indifference
Yes.
is like the complete opposite, you know?
Exactly. If anything, he is indifferent to how society operates.
Yeah,
And yeah, this also can someone send the cops to them because Patrick Bateman being his role model? I don't know. That's kind of crazy. I don't know if you want to have a serial psychopathic killer as
I mean,
a role
that's the
model.
question. Was he a serial psychopath killer? Was it just in his imagination? That's
Yeah, right.
That's a story for another time, man. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it is.
It's like, you see, we're roasting Fight Club, we were roasting Joker, then yeah, we're praising American Psycho.
Yes.
Oh my god, yeah, I just found that, it's not a tweet, it's just like a screenshot of a tweet I found. It's like, oh my god. It's like, this is completely wrong, man.
Absolutely. I think this really, if anything, is also just to get a ton of engagement. If he didn't mean it that way, if he
Yeah,
does,
yeah.
that's kind of crazy. I would say that's truly crazy.
I would actually say there must be pretty much there was pretty many men who would agree with him. It's like, yeah, those
Yes.
are my idols. I mean, from all those four people, I'd probably go with Travis Bickle
Yeah,
if I had
probably.
if I had to choose. Man.
But you gotta also be honest with the men who like this or would agree with that. They are really just keyboard warriors who say this and then never act like these people. Like for example, Tyler Durden.
Probably, yeah.
I would say if you take anything from him, it's just being very direct and open about what you think.
Mm-hmm.
This is really something you could take for your life if you want to be that guy. As we mentioned before, I wouldn't recommend it in all situations, but if you want to be that, you could do it. I wouldn't recommend taking much from Patrick Bateman, in my opinion. But yeah, maybe that's just me. I don't know. But yeah, for Tyler Durden, this is something you could take, but be sure that the men who nod their heads reading this tweet, they don't do anything like that.
Dude, I found something else. I found like the next stage. It's a pretty it's a pretty popular meme, and you can see it's gonna pop up in a few seconds. And I'm a little bit confused, man.
Yes,
I'm a little
yeah, yeah.
confused because I can see like Joker. I see the guy from 500 Days of Summer, Deadpool, Joker from The Dark Knight. I think it's Donnie Darko.
Yeah,
Now Wolf of Wall Street. Oh my God, Joker from Suicide Squad. Who the
yeah.
fuck? Who the fuck watches this Joker from Suicide Squad? This is literally me. Now I got one question. What the fuck is Han Solo doing there on this list? It's like.
All right.
It's a, what? He's he's not that bad. Come on. It's like, yeah, I can see like Rebel and stuff like that. But, oh, come on, man. yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah, I
this.
guess it's because he's a smuggler, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think that meme kind of sums up what you just said. It's really
Yes.
like some keyboard anon warrior who, oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Basically living the complete opposite in life. It's see what I'm thinking is the more I think about Fight Club, the whole notion of the whole like the best part about Fight Club, and this is what we're gonna dive into now, are those quote unquote wisdom quotes. You know?
Yes.
It's the whole script, the whole movie is full of those fucking wisdom quotes, and I have reached a certain age in my life where it pisses me off. And that's see when I was young, all I thought was I need to get all the wisdom. You know, I wanna know the answers. You know, that's it's natural. But everything I do now, I shit you not, everything I am, everything I do now, it's not based or inspired by any quote. I'm not reading like, oh yeah, today could be the last day of your life. Okay, and that inspires me to do something. No, actually not. That's those smart quotes. Yeah, not really make it to me. I mean, maybe slightly. Maybe they have inspired me in the past, but every decision I make now is based on personal experience in the field, on personal dreams, personal thoughts. There's never been a quote where I say, "Oh yeah, that inspires me. That makes me go reach my dreams." I believe that's part of why I don't like Twitter.
Yes.
See people throwing around quotes from I don't know from The Godfather and like movies and stuff, like completely non-contextual. I cannot, you know, it's people using quotes. They're not aware of the meaning though. But I could say that, but that's not the problem. I just think that I believe quotes itself are meaningless. I don't think I've ever learned anything about life actually from just a quote. I'm learning more from life from an organic piece of dialogue, from experience. I'm thinking about this tweet of yours, which is still one of my favorite ones, where he said, "I had sex with my wife 7 days a week in the past week. Here's what I learned." And then next, it's like nothing. Go back to your work. It's so, but that's actually what's yeah. I think can resonate with that. That makes sense. Instead of people like copy pasting Marcus Aurelius quotes and stuff like that, it's not. There's not much I can learn from that. You know, it's words only.
Yeah, I would kind of agree, not fully, but or rather, I would say the reason is this because yes, you see this on Twitter all the time that everyone just posts their platitudes and quotes, and was it, I don't know, 500 likes all under it, and now they go out and do exactly nothing with it. And this is the key issue I have with it, because I think that these quotes do have some sort of knowledge in them, but they are completely useless if you just read them and don't actually act on them. And this is the key where I think it ties into what you just said. In the end, what really teaches you something is really only the experience. And I think the quotes can help you to get there. By which I mean, if you read a quote about, let's take the classic, which is just carpe diem, right? Or you only live once and this kind of shit. I mean, Confucius also said that a man has 2 lives, and the second life starts when he realizes he has only one. And obviously this sounds cool and edgy, right? And people like it on Twitter. But the idea behind that is really, all right, this means I gotta do something with my life. So let's go out and try something. This doesn't mean that this quote suddenly changes your whole life completely and your whole belief system and all of this. It just means now I'm going to test something. This is at least how I applied these kind of things in the past. Because I totally agree. What really only teaches you something, or anything really, is if you do things yourself. There is no substitute for experience.
Yeah,
Your own experience.
that's the thing. When I'm being faced with a very important decision in my life, or I'm under high pressure, I don't think about smart quotes in that moment. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. I'm thinking about the experiences I've made in my life, what I truly believe in my heart, but I don't think about any carpe diem and stuff like that. That's not what comes to my mind. You know, that's
Really,
what I was
you
trying to
don't
say.
pick up your meditations copy from Marcus Aurelius and read what you should do now?
Oh man, yeah, that's
That's weird.
I would agree with what you said. I think like those smart quotes like that, you know, stuff people do tattoos on their skin, you know, they do stuff like that. I think if those quotes doesn't animate you to do like, yeah, I'm gonna take action now, then they are pretty useless. You know, it doesn't really make sense if you sit at home, meditate 24/7 about what is the truth in life. You gotta do something, man. That's yeah. That's why I personally deem those quotes rather unnecessary. I wouldn't exactly say useless. Come on, I don't want to be that heartless because, like I said, maybe some of those quotes have inspired me as well. I just don't actually remember it or like feel it right now. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think this is the right word. Inspired you. They inspired you
Yeah.
maybe to do something,
Mm.
and that's great. If you then did something with it, that's fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that this knowledge you might have also realized. I don't know if this happened to you, but it definitely happened to me when you read such a quote, and I don't know, years later, you actually did something regarding that quote, and your experience was different.
Mm-hmm.
So it actually taught you that not everything is true just because you read it on Twitter, right? And I mean, this should be obvious, but you know.
Yeah, for example, yeah, you go.
Yeah, but my key issue really is with Twitter and especially all the online platitude stuff is people just read this, they hit like, and that's it. Then they proceed to the next quote or platitude, and there's absolutely nothing. This is actually, was it yesterday? Sometime this week, I don't even remember. I actually recorded a video clip where I shit on motivational videos, which are a huge thing on YouTube as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Because I think they are actually backwards. They make it worse, in my opinion. And I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's actually pretty much the same. You just get this quick dopamine rush from, all right, great quote and great clip. Now I'm motivated, and you don't actually do anything with it. And this is, I think, what ties into what you said, that your own experience and actually doing things is the only thing that really yields something in the end.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, speaking of motivational videos, there's like exactly one video which I really endorse and I really loved. It's like this Shia LaBeouf clip where he says, "Just do it," you know. And that's like, and sometimes I think that's the only video anyone needs, you know.
Yeah.
This is like the only. I fucking love this clip, you know. I wouldn't say this changed my life, but it sometimes pops up in my recommended videos. I'm like, yeah, fuck this shit, close YouTube and then do so. I don't even want to watch this video, just go back work and stuff. But to go back to Twitter and saying this meaningless stuff like that. But yeah, for example, I take another tweet of yours because I recognize you retweeted a lot of times because I think it's pretty good. I don't recall it perfectly, but it's about Albert Einstein and he was bad at school, something like that. Maybe you can help me out with that.
Oh yes,
you know which one? Like he's bad at school, but what that actually means is if you're bad at school, it doesn't actually mean much because school is not like a maybe something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. The idea behind it was that people used this as a sort of excuse because Einstein was bad at school, so it means they can also be shit at school.
Yeah.
As a sort of excuse to not be or to not put in the action to have good grades, and. Yeah, but this is really the idea that just because he was bad at school doesn't mean he was also not doing great things outside of that. And this is what people then are lacking.
Yeah, but see, that's something I can work with instead of carpe diem. Carpe diem doesn't give me anything. That's just like, okay, cool. Yeah, maybe gonna tattoo it on my forehead or something like that.
I was gonna say maybe you saw this on too many people's skin, so
it kind
of lost its.
Yeah, maybe the problem is I saw it on too many people's skins of people who I clearly see they didn't fucking carpe their diem, man. They did not. They did not. It's that's maybe where it's yeah, kind of lost its meaning there. Because
Yeah,
clearly, like
also,
seeing like driving with the train, seeing on 300-pound girls, having Carpe
oh
Diem
yeah.
tattooed on their neck. Like, where the fuck are you, Carpe you Diem girl? Oh man, yeah, I don't know,
Yes, it's
man.
also they also always like to say, if it's under my skin, I'm gonna remember it. But then you're like,
Yeah. Oh man.
apparently not. I mean, because
Yeah.
you didn't do
Yeah.
anything with it.
Mm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny.
It's
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah, I agree with this totally. This is really, especially these one-liners, of all the great men like Socrates and Aristotle and all of this. They have these one-liners. Everyone repeats at all times and posts on Twitter to get the dopamine rush from likes. But actually doing something with some sort of quote or even a tweet like the one I tweeted there, which actually has some idea that can help you change something
Mm.
or realize something. That's different than these quotes. But maybe it's just because we've seen it too much.
Yeah, also,
That
yeah,
could be an
but
issue.
also the core motivation of actually posting this stuff is to get retweets and likes and stuff
Yes.
like that, and that shouldn't be the motivation. If I think of Socrates or someone I really personally admire is Cicero from the
Oh
old
yeah.
Rome. You know, the law. He was a lawyer back then and very good with words. Um, I don't think his intention was that in 2,000 years later, people can retweet his shit and get likes for it.
Yeah.
That's I don't think when I think like those people who are really like philosophical or having philosophical thoughts, trying to find the truth in life and stuff like that. Um, I don't know if their motivation was like to do it for for traffic or whatever, like be popular, be famous. It was pretty edgy back in the days, so yeah.
Yeah, but no, if you think about it, for example, Marcus Aurelius, right?
Mm.
Our great, probably one of the most quoted guys on Twitter,
Mm.
I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
And everyone has his profile picture of his marble statue. His book, Meditations, right, is really just something he wrote for himself. Those were his meditations. He didn't aim to publish this or get
Yeah,
any
yeah.
sort of retweets out of it, so to speak, and people, yeah, spreading the message. It was for him, and this is something. Because, for example, I only tweet for myself. The things I wrote or write there are because I had this thought and I wanted to put it in words because I know this then changes it again and makes it real, and yeah, I get a different perspective of it. So for me, this is different. But most people who post these quotes, they really just want engagement and likes, which do nothing. But
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is pretty much Instagram explained, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, speaking
But
of
Instagram is a different beast.
oh my god, it is, yeah. Yeah, speaking of inspirational quotes and famous people, I think that would be probably the worst time to bring up Hitler. So I'm not gonna do it. I
But
always
you have to do it.
I always have to. I always have to. Every stream I have to do some kind of connection to Hitler. Maybe it's gonna happen now. We're gonna dive into like the most famous quotes, I would say, of the movie, or quotes everyone knows. So we're gonna dive into them. You can see them right now on the screen, or like in 5 seconds, I
seconds,
believe.
yeah.
Yes, 3, 2, 1. There we go.
Yeah, almost.
I'm gonna read it out loud, and so people on Spotify can listen to us as well. It's Tyler Durden saying, quote unquote, I say never be complete. I say stop being perfect. I say let's evolve. Let the chips fall where they may. Alex, what's your take on that? Non-contextual. I say, okay, this is like a perfect tweet quote, isn't it?
Oh yes,
It has
is,
like
absolutely.
the perfect length. I am pretty fucking sure I've seen this somewhere on Twitter
Yeah, of course.
before. How would you interact with a tweet like that if there was a tweet, so to speak? Yeah.
I wouldn't, but but actually, the funny thing is there's some truth in it, of course. Especially the last part. I think let the chips fall where they may. To some degree, this is right, but people misconstrue this all the time. What I mean by this is the following: I've always talked about outcome independence, right? This is something I think which is very important with anything you do. You give your life intentions, right? This is what you should be doing. You want to go somewhere, obviously. You have goals and desires to achieve something. But if you force, or if you try to force outcomes, this is very bad and usually doesn't work. What you should be doing is give your life intentions, work on it every day where you want to go, and there will be shit happening along the path.
Yeah.
Because people always ask me about this, like making money online, right? And then they say if it doesn't work out after like 1 week, or something happened, like they got banned on Twitter or something with the exchangeable Twitter account, and then they're mad and say this is all bullshit, doesn't work. Yeah, you never know what happens. This is life, right? But you gotta adapt to it, or evolve is the word he uses, which I like as well. And you cannot really force where the chips will be falling, but you can work with whatever happens. And this is, I think, very important.
Yes,
so this is what I would say is great. Yeah.
Yes, to me, like this whole quote kind of contradicts itself in it. So I would probably take 50% out of it and 50% I would like throw out, because I would say, yeah, let's evolve and let the chips fall where they may. That's basically having a best take at life. You know, I'm doing my best work. I'm doing my best job. I work my ass off. Let's see where the chips fall. Maybe I'm gonna succeed. Maybe not. That's the best thing I can do. Maybe tomorrow there's gonna be like a huge catastrophe here in Germany, and I'm gonna lose everything. But that's where the chips fall, of course. But the first part of it, never be complete. Stop being perfect. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. So it's like two different quotes being mashed together. It doesn't make sense for me.
Yeah, you're right. Also, what is this? This is something what you probably meant at the beginning. What does it even mean? I say never be complete. Like, how do I make any use of that sentence for my real life?
Yeah.
What's to take from that?
Also, it's like I think it's gonna be even more obvious when we dive into the other quotes later. But okay, sooner or later we're gonna dive into the notion of if Fight Club is actually not an anti-capitalistic movie, like a communist movie, so to speak. But it's super interesting to notice how easily the members of the Fight Club are being able to be manipulated into doing whatever charismatic leader like Tyler Durden asks them to do. You know.
Thank you for mentioning this.
Yeah.
Sorry for
no. I'm finished.
Because it's been a while, must be years. I've seen one clip on YouTube where someone says also what's bad about Fight Club, and he talks about that the man in the end, the space monkeys, pretty much, they are slaves pretty much, just to a different person. They switched from the corporate slavery to being a slaves to whatever Tyler Durden tells them to do.
Yeah.
They don't have their own ideas or things they want to do. They just receive orders, and that's what they do. And there's also something I noticed in the movie, that this is not really something you should tell people just because they have a charismatic leader up front, that they should do everything he says, because this might bring us back to Hitler, right?
Now you said it, man.
Yeah, I said it this time, but you got to think for yourself. And even if the leader's a great man, or seemingly great man, I should say, you got to question things, especially where it's going, and you got to be your own person at all times. So
it's no wonder that the people in the movie are so easily manipulated, because they're so without purpose. You know, they're like really like lost sheep in a 9-to-5 environment, and it's actually no wonder.
The parallels there.
Yeah, it is. You said Hitler. I'm saying Stalin. Yeah, for a reason. It's
absolutely, but I also thought about the current society, for example. I'm not saying that there is some sort of Stalin or Hitler currently in power, but people, or men rather, these days, they don't have a purpose. They have nothing to strive for, which is my goal with my whole brand, to give them purpose, right? And because I think this is very detrimental and also very dangerous, because this is exactly where you get these kind of mindless drones who follow your lead and do everything you say, like they do in Fight Club. And this is very, very powerful for the person in charge, but also very dangerous for society and the people involved, I would say. So, I would also say that men with purpose are the antidote to chaos, in my opinion.
Nice one. That's a good tweet, by the way, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say, shall I tweet that?
Put it out there, man.
Maybe I joined the ranks of Marcus Aurelius.
Absolutely, Alex Aurelius to go, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I truly think that's the key there.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's like the antidote to any problem right now, and that's the antidote that's missing in this movie. I'd say it would be a pretty nice message in the end, instead of the to-go-to solution, which would be anarchism. without any solution at all in the beginning, in the end. That's a bit the question. Would you consider this one, like objectively speaking, an anti-capitalist movie?
Yeah, I would say so.
Mm.
I mean, there is obviously a part in it where he builds his own business, so to speak. So,
Mm-hmm.
which has the root foundation of capitalism, that you need to get your shit together and work
Mm-hmm.
on something, and then you make money, of
Yep.
course. But if you think about the whole notion, he makes fun of all that society is. Like, for example, this whole IKEA stuff and the commercials, which are obviously a capitalism thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
With this fashion model commercial, and in the end, he just really wants to Project Mayhem, bring everything down. So this has this whole notion again of, I wouldn't say socialism, because he doesn't really care about people. I would just say that, anarchy, because anarchy is just chaos, right?
Yeah, but
I think
but that would mean that socialism cares about people, and let's say it doesn't.
yeah, sorry,
And
it doesn't.
I'd say if you really care about people, then socialism is not the way.
Yes, absolutely. The root idea is
Yeah.
it is rooted in empathy, but if you think a little bit further, then you
Mhm.
realize that it doesn't work.
Mhm.
But yes, I totally agree. But it's. I would say it's not really, or it is an anti-capitalism movie to some degree, but it's definitely a movie proposing for anarchy, which is bullshit, because anarchy never works in any sort
Mhm.
of it just doesn't.
Except in the Dark Knight, there it looks cool. But yeah.
Yeah, right.
The-
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, anarchy, in my opinion, is always, it is, or it can be, the stepping stone from one establishment to the other, or from one, ruler to the other, because the transition always is chaos, obviously, because order is gone, but new order will be established.
Yeah.
But this is what you always miss with these people and the whole Fight Club movie. Like, how will you establish new order after that? After you've burned everything down? And this, is missing with all the woke crowd and with Fight Club as well.
Kind of reminds me of a little comment I read on YouTube as well. It says, remember back in the 90s, kids, when the biggest existential threat to mankind was nothing exciting happening in the world? Those were the days. And I was reading, it's like, I kind of agree, I kind of disagree with that.
Yes, sort of, yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say anything has changed now, because we still don't face any existential threats to mankind. There's like no Cold War, nothing going on much.
Yeah, I think this is also a big key. I actually have, it's been years since I've written that post. It's called Why People Long for the Apocalypse. And there is a reason behind this, in my opinion, that people always want this anarchy stuff and burning everything down. Now, one reason, obviously, is to not finally get their shit together and adapt to the current situation. This is one thing, obviously. The other thing is always that people, like, if we have one thing everyone needs to work together to fix or to get going, then you have this sort of, suddenly you have this connection of people. They suddenly, as I said, nobody cares about transgenderism if a new world war breaks out, right?
Yeah.
Nobody will give a damn about this whole shit. It's just because we now have time to talk about this or think about it or whatever. So if people could be united with a huge thing that is happening, this is what people are longing for sometimes, I would say. Something that unites them again. But regardless of anything, this would also mean that a lot of shit is happening, usually bad things, and I don't know if it's not better if people just get their shit together.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I gotta put up the next quote on the screen. Should appear in a few seconds, and kind of connects with what we just said. Again, Tyler Durden is saying, I think it's just part of a bigger quote. I'm gonna look it up later. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate, so we can buy shit we don't need. Yeah, give me your initial take on that.
Yeah, I think it proceeds with so we can impress people we don't care about, or something like that. I don't know. But it does proceed usually in the movie. But This is also one of the. I think it must be one of the most quoted quotes. I've
Yes.
seen this
Yes.
everywhere at all times, being completely edgy, and then they proceed to buy the iPhone. It's yeah. I mean, technically, I would agree with it. That there is some truth to it, of course. But then again, what's wrong with having nice things, right?
Yeah,
Um,
that's the thing a little bit. It demonizes this so much. Like I compare my life to what I had like 2 3 years ago, and nowadays I have the ability to look. I always loved Japanese food, or steaks like that, and I can do this every day, and I do this every day, and you know what? I fucking love it. I fucking love it. My life has improved, but it's always being portrayed that. Also like with clothes and all this stuff. I'm able to get like fragrance clothes, all this stuff. I'm able to get all this stuff now, which I wasn't able to get back in the days, and it makes me happy, genuinely happy. You know, it's always this quote from Wolf of Wall Street where Jordan Belfort says, "I know what it's like to be poor, and I know what it's like to be rich. There's nothing nice about being poor, and it's the truth." And when Tyler Durden says working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need, I'm always a bit surprised reading this line and no one else figures this out. Tyler's complaining about this stuff. He says people work all day to buy stuff they don't need. Uh, but it all rings a bit hollow when you're someone who works all day, but you can actually just manage to buy the things you do need. You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
exactly.
It's like he's like pretending I'm buying all those Versace handbags and all this stuff. You actually cannot buy this stuff with a 9 to 5, you know. But
Yeah, exactly. I
he's
think
pretending to.
yeah.
A normal person cannot get like Calvin Klein underwear at least, you know. So yeah, it's that's crazy.
Yeah, I think if anything, this is also something I thought back when I heard it the first time. I thought he was talking about like mortgage, and debt and this stuff people have.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
if you think about it, truly, the regular 9 to 5 person works this job and buys a house he cannot actually afford because advertising told him to do that. This might be right. Okay, I get it. Because obviously you cannot really afford this. And technically you don't need that house. You can also live in your apartment or flat, right? Maybe that's the idea behind that. This would be the only thing where I see where this makes sense. Other than that, having money is not a bad thing, even though it's stigmatized in this very quote.
Yeah.
So this is again where I come back to that it is against capitalism to some degree because advertising is part of capitalism. Yeah. Now it can be very annoying, of course. Um, but if you think about it, every ad you see is really just someone else trying to improve his life
Yeah.
because they run these
Yeah.
ads to further their business, to make more money, to have a better life. Yeah. Personally, I don't see anything wrong with that. Um, but yeah, I mean, if anything, if you see an ad of something you really don't need, to put it that way, something you really don't need, and you still go buy, that's not the issue of the advertising. That's your problem.
I was recent.
That's
I was
yeah.
recently in a store and I was seeing like those smartwatches, Apple watches. This is like the perfect example for me. Like there's actually no necessity to an Apple Watch or to a smartwatch.
Yes.
And every time I meet someone who has a watch like that, I was like, why did you buy one? It's like, oh, I can see who called me. It's
Yeah.
like get your fucking phone out of your pocket, you moron. Jeez, man.
Yeah. I gotta
Yeah,
say, man,
this I
fell
think this
for
is
this once.
yeah. Oh, Alex,
Yeah.
we have something to discuss later, man.
Absolutely, because I at some point bought a smartwatch, not an Apple Watch, but some Samsung
Well, okay,
thing.
okay. In that case, you're okay, man.
No, but you know what? Actually, I think I had it for a month or something. And then I thought, you know what? This is just a very overpriced way to count my steps. And even
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
don't really do because I sit in front of the computer all day.
Yeah.
So why the hell did I pay $300 for the stupid ass watch? It doesn't even look good. Which
Yeah.
doesn't even look good. I mean, I would be totally fine paying $5,000 for a great watch, but not a smartwatch. That's different. But yeah, this was something where I realized, all right, you really fell for this stupid advertisement, didn't you? And this was kind of enlightening to myself there.
It's interesting. I'm trying to get my hands on why this stuff works so well because it's genuinely. I think you can judge this better than I because you actually purchased one once. It's like the perfect example of a thing you actually don't need, but it sells so well. I'm trying to find out why that is. It's really that there's something about the marketing with that they do so well. It's tough, man. Just can't explain it.
This is the funny thing, because I cannot for the life of me tell you why I bought it, or what made it so great. Because there is nothing great about it. If anything, it's annoying because you need to move your arm in a certain way that it actually lights up and shows you the time, and you need to charge it every fucking day because it doesn't last very long. And all the controls are very stupid to use, in my opinion. Maybe that was just a Samsung, maybe Apple is so much better. I don't fucking know. But still, it's just have a regular watch and everything else you do with your phone. Why would you need that? It's just...
So kids, if you're listening to this, don't get an Apple Watch or like a smartwatch. Get a Rolex, man. Get a Rolex like every other man around you.
Yes, that's it.
Next quote from Tyler Durden from the movie. I think that mirrors what we just said. Tyler Durden says, "You're not your job. You're not how much money you have in the bank. You're not the car you drive. You're not the contents of your wallet. You're not your fucking car keys. You're the all singing, all dancing crap of the world." I think from all quotes from this movie, this is the one I mostly disagree with.
Yeah.
This is like I don't want to demonize it into this is like a straight up communist message, but it is, man. What can I say?
It's also a very negative message. You're all dancing crap of the world. Like, how does this lift me up to achieve anything in my life?
Like this is straight up demonizing. Like imagine really struggling every day and like trying to make it, trying to get my dream car, trying to make as much money, and then someone comes up to you and say you're not. That's nothing that defines you. It's really, I think that's basically the opposite of what we believe in, right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I would agree that having a Lambo doesn't define me as a person, but this doesn't mean that I shouldn't now strive towards it. And this, I think, is what this quote is getting so wrong, because it tells you, all right, you're not all of these things, which, okay, fine. But then you're just the crab of the world. Like, how does this help me in any way? That's just weird to me.
Yeah.
It's definitely a absolutely communist message. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't work towards anything. It's all meaningless. Just exist.
Yeah, it's not only communist. It's also like nihilistic.
Oh yeah.
Which is a huge part of this movie. It's like this whole. I think nihilism is like the absolute opposite of having a purpose, you know, and that's a very that's what I meant when I was a teenager. I was really confused because there were like scenes from Tyler Durden and stuff where he's like very cool and edgy and he says stuff I really like, and then he comes up with you're not worth anything, you're just like a fucking snowflake, your life doesn't have any meaning, and it basically says you're the crap of the world. So what kind of message is that for teenager boys, you know?
Exactly.
It's I don't know.
Yeah, this is where I come back to that. I think that the author, who was beat up, still put some sort of resentment in this movie or in this novel, whatever, of himself. Maybe, I don't know, if maybe he had some existential crisis or it was just because other dudes beat him up. Mm-hmm. But saying that you're just useless, your life doesn't have meaning, like... Also, I don't know if you have this quote coming up from the movie, where what was it, the middle children of the universe, something like that, I don't even know. Mm-hmm. But really just that we have nothing great to fight for. Not conquering the world, for example, which our ancestors did, and we cannot conquer the universe yet, something like that. And no Great Depression, all of this. And this is something I mentioned before of the apocalypse, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, if you don't have a purpose, you are in this nihilistic state, and this is also where the movie contradicts itself, where he says that you don't need to care about anything, you can just exist in life because nothing has any meaning, but also that this is the case and it's bad. It's kind of weird when it contradicts itself. This also struck me weird when I watched it. I was like, all right, so where direction are we going now? Or what direction are we going now? Are we now useless and it's all meaningless, or is this actually a bad thing? Like,
Yeah,
It's
which
this
leads me
movie.
back to my choice of the thumbnail because I said pseudo adults, I think,
Yeah.
and what I also think about is like pseudo intellectual,
Oh
like that, like
yes.
not maybe intellectual, but yeah, but also yeah, it's it's like yeah, I'm having all those like smart quotes and all this stuff, but if you actually take a look at them and trying to dissect them the way we do, you see that it's all just fugazi, man. It's all bullshit. It's all
It is.
contradicting itself in itself. It sounds nice if you turn off your brain, which I'm doing when I watch movies like Star Wars. I obviously have to turn off my brain, and like yeah, the lightsaber exists and stuff like that.
Yeah, of course.
If I watch like a movie like Fight Club, I don't think that's a movie where I'm supposed to turn off my brain in the same way. This is like a movie grounded in reality, but the lessons in there contradicting themselves very much.
Yeah, that is the key issue because it is grounded so much in reality and yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't say realistic, but it has this idea of
Mm.
being realistic because it talks about the current society.
Mm.
And but then, as you say, the messages you get from it are actually very bad if you think
Hmm.
about it, and if you truly think about it, which then you don't do, and then this is where you become this
Yeah.
mindless slave to the charismatic leader again.
Yeah, especially like that's what look, people say teenagers should watch this movie when they're okay, let's say 17, right? But that's a very dangerous age actually
Oh
to watch
yes.
this movie. You know, we talked about how easily people are manipulated by charismatic leaders, and yes, I sometimes see like graffitis on the walls from from Tyler Durden. It's like really like
Oh
this.
yeah.
I have like this Che Guevara vibes from him. You know, like people love charismatic leaders, and I can see why. It makes completely sense, but yeah, being a 17-year-old with no direction in life and then watching this movie could maybe lead him to a path that he might regret in the future, you know.
Absolutely.
17 is actually a very dangerous age. I'm glad this movie is rated R, but yeah, it as for me personally, it has a clear agenda, and also it doesn't really, you know, yeah, okay, I'm contradicting myself a little bit here, but I'd say it has like slightly a bit of communist agenda, but also it's simply 2 hours wasted of my life because there's like no real answer to it at all. It's just you just have more questions afterwards. You're more confused afterwards. You know.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
That's
because there is no guideline given what you should be doing then. Should be
yeah,
doing then.
yeah.
And as we mentioned before, it's just yeah, everything's shit. Pretty
Mm,
much a nihilistic viewpoint. Current society sucks. And yeah, you're such an edgy, great, intelligent, pseudo-intelligent
mm,
guy, but you're born at the wrong time. This is also what this other quote said, right?
mm.
Um, Too late to conquer the world, too soon to conquer the universe. So your current situation is just shit, but you're actually
Mm,
better than that. It's this kind of pseudo ego that's hurt there that you cannot actually use your whatever it is, your
mm,
intelligence to do
mm.
something great. It's yeah, it's actually kind of childish if we're being honest.
Which is kind of like a good transition to the next one because I don't actually remember this quote from the movie, but I know it's from the author. I'm not sure if it's in the movie. I'm gonna read it out loud. Um, We report to work daily to do the same activity over and over again, and we are happy that we still have our jobs while we murder our potential within at the cost of paying monthly bills. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
of
Like,
course.
this is pretty much mirroring the state of a 9 to 5 worker. Absolutely, it does. But again, what the movie presents to us as a solution is quit your job, do some street fighting, that's it, you know.
Yes.
Then you're free. And that's a little bit the problem. See, I believe many men can identify with the protagonist in Fight Club, the nameless protagonist. That's why this movie works so well. You know, it's like you can identify with him. Like I'm not satisfied with my existence having this fucking job here, and yes, you're kind of like enslaved by that, but there is a way out, but it's not being
Exactly.
presented in this movie. In this movie, the way out is quit your job, live on the street, then you're gonna be free. And I'm calling bullshit on that, man.
Yeah, it's also like if you read this quote or see it somewhere, I don't know, you know, on Twitter, for example, then obviously you're gonna nod your head. Yes, this is my life currently, and it sucks. I hate this 9 to 5. I have this void in my soul. I want to do something. And then what? Like,
Yeah.
what do you do now? And this
Yeah.
is exactly what's missing there. And as you say, like, quitting your job, then okay, and then
Yeah.
setting shit on fire, okay, like, yeah, it's completely missing the actual point there.
Mm.
It's just showing things that are bad. It's like if you come into a messy house and you just say, all right, this is messy, and then you leave. It's like, okay, how about you fix that? And
Yeah.
it's doesn't really help anything or anyone.
Yeah. It's same.
This is really,
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, it's something I come back to all the time now throughout this whole stream and thinking about Fight Club. That really just points at bad things in society, in humans, or in human behavior.
Yeah.
Just pointing the finger all the time, you know, like, yeah, some sort of on this high horse pointing the finger down because you're so much better. But then this person actually doesn't do anything of worth, which
Mm-hmm.
is sort of contradicting itself again. Because if everyone would be like Tyler Durden, imagine what that society would look like.
Yeah.
That isn't much better, actually.
And
Just different, but
and
not better.
that's a little bit what pisses me off about the author, this Chuck guy. This is like his life work, or it's like his best sold book. But what actually did you give the people?
Exactly.
Did you actually help someone with what you said, or did you just like kind of? I believe what he did was kind of working a bit with his childhood trauma and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
afterwards he felt better. But did you actually help someone, or did you help to confuse people even more? Because I don't see any exit in your work. I don't see any practical advice I can actually take.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, yeah, don't like it. That's why it's a roasting for me. It's not a praise.
Yeah, I wonder if anyone who watched the movie, if anyone randomly comes across our podcast and you watched the movie and it actually changed your life for the better, please tell us. Because I don't think anyone actually watched that and then was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to fix my life now, do this and that. And actually this worked out. I don't think that ever happens.
Yeah. Also, if I believe if that was the case, if that movie actually has been that edgy and all this stuff, I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be that popular. That
Yes.
I think if a movie like Fight Club is after 20 years still that popular, then there is a reason why it's still popular. And obviously someone wants this movie to be promoted, and it is on Netflix. So at least in Germany, I believe it still is. I don't know if it's still. So last time I had Netflix, which is a few years ago, I think it was there.
Yeah, I think it is still. Yeah.
I believe that's there must be a reason why. Definitely.
Yeah, I also
if that
think
if that movie really was that edgy, Netflix wouldn't put it up. No chance in hell.
exactly. Especially because if you think about it, it is technically a very toxic masculine movie, right? And the woke crowd has
Yeah.
called it out.
Yeah.
So why would Netflix keep that on the database, which is Netflix also a very, very, very woke company.
That's the point. Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. So there's gotta be a reason why this movie still exists. Great point you bring up there. Or is still available in this sort of thing, especially because I still have Netflix because I watch every now and then with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, when I actually opened it, there was Fight Club on the top watched movies. And I was like, how did that happen
Yeah.
so randomly out of nowhere?
Yeah.
20-year-old movie, the top 1 or top 10, top 5, I don't even
Yeah.
know. Especially, but it was very high up. And it was that just didn't happen out of coincidence. There must have been a reason for that. And yeah. I'm not going to put on my tinfoil hat now, but if you think about what this movie actually does to people, keeping them in their nihilistic, useless state,
Yeah.
then this is very helpful for some people currently in charge, I would say.
Yeah, it's like this drug, I can totally see people watching this, having a 9 to 5 job, coming home to their ugly wife and stuff like that, and like especially watching this movie on their own, and in their sexless marriage and feeling really bad,
Yes.
and like this movie gives them like some sort of temporary relief. It's basically what the guys do in the dungeons down there, like doing those fights feeling a bit manly. I believe if you watch Fight Club, you can go to your job next day and say, I watched Fight Club. Yeah, this
Yeah.
super edgy, masculine. It was, wow, you're so manly, and stuff. Get out of here. Still working a shitty job. So, tough, man. Tough. Definitely.
Yeah, and also if you then decide to quit your job, but you don't have an actual plan to do something afterward,
Yeah.
that's not really helping either, right? Then you're just a homeless person.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So yeah, it doesn't do anything really, and this is my biggest pet peeve.
Next quote is, and this is the one I'm being reminded of. We had Path to Manliness, the Ryan, on our show.
Yes.
And I believe we talked about this because he also has, surprisingly, also has a few issues with this movie. Wish we could have gotten him on the show today, because I think that's also the title of one of his blog posts. I'm gonna try to put the link down in the description, where he was talking about this quote. If you wake up at a different time in a different place, could you wake up as a different person? And he said yes. I would say no. Alex, what's your initial take when you read this stuff like that?
I would say no as well. I mean, yes, you can wake up as a different person, but it's an act, and you can only act it for so long, in my opinion. Now, obviously, if you are in a different environment, you can become a different person over time, but it doesn't happen overnight. I don't believe that. So, and if you want to become a different person, then you have to put effort into this. Like any sort of transmutation or change always involves pain, sacrifice, and effort. So it doesn't happen overnight. I don't believe that.
Yeah, of course, it makes sense in the context of the movie if you
Yeah,
know
of
the
course.
plot in the end, and this is this is a very nice touch. Yeah, but I think that's like, it's also like one of those excuses. I don't know if Ryan is actually discussing this in his article. I have to look it up again before I bash him like without any reason. But what I think is, this is like some sort of excuse. It's like, yeah, if I would be able to wake up in, I don't know, fucking Timbuktu now, I would be a different person. But I'm still in Germany. That's why I cannot be a different person. That's what I get from this quote, and that's where I disagree with that.
All right, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's this notion that you just, it's basically telling you, just be a different person tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then your life is better. But that's not how it works, because you still have like your mortgage, your house, your wife, your kids, or even a relationship and your work, whatever. So your environment didn't really change. So different time and different place is not set. So how could you wake up as a different person? So it's this edgy idea that you just be different tomorrow.
Yeah.
Sounds cool, but doesn't work.
Yeah. The more we talk about it, the more we see more of us disagree.
I mean,
yeah,
I totally agree.
No,
the only thing where I could see this, which is maybe what Ryan was talking about, I don't actually know the blog post either, but I know he has something about it. The idea that at some point you could just decide to become someone different, and this, I think, only takes like a day, where you have this sort of realization that you want to be someone else. At least it was for me. Actually, it was a few minutes where it suddenly clicked. And I know from other men it was the same, also for Ryan. So maybe this is what he meant with this quote. Could be, I don't know, that you just decide, all right, today, this is enough. I don't want to have this anymore. Fuck all this. And I'm going to work towards something else. But it's not that you wake up next morning and you are a different person. You're just working to becoming that person, because your environment is still the same. Like if you decide tomorrow, I am the king now. I am Chief G.
Yeah.
I know everything and I rule this place.
Yeah.
If you tell this to your wife, which has been a nagging bitch for 10 years, that's not going to work. So your environment will sober you up pretty quickly, I think.
Well, see someone who's like going up to his wife, like, I'm Chief G now, bitch. You're going to make me a sandwich.
Yeah, that's
man.
I think actually a lot of men do that. Like not a lot, but some do that when they read, like for example, the Red Pill.
Yeah.
And they learn that women want strong, powerful leaders, and they've been weak for 10 years, and then they walk up to their girls, go on your knees, like, how about you fuck yourself?
Oh man. Yeah.
That's not how it works, guys. It's great to change your mindset and you want to become this, but it takes time, and you actually need to prove yourself. Indeed.
Again, this is also something that Might be a difficult one. The
Oh
protagonist said,
God.
like, what to do with that? The protagonist says, "I found freedom. Losing all hope was freedom." And I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do with that?
This almost sounds suicidal to me. Like, yeah, just kill yourself, then you're free of all
Yeah.
this shit that's pulling you down. I would definitely fully advise against this quote or whatever it is. Losing all hope is not helpful, not at all. Like, what does this really do?
Hmm.
In what way does this even make you free? Like, how is this
I
freedom? I
I
don't understand that.
remember. I don't know if I'm gonna put this up. I don't wanna scroll to the other quote. Let me check. Maybe there it says no. No. Okay. Anyways, there's like one other quote. I at least wrote it down. It's from Tyler Durden, where he says, or he elaborates further on that. It's only after we've lost everything then we are free to do anything. I think that
Oh, I
kind of
see.
I think that kind of builds on this idea again. Pretty communist if you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. I believe that's the notion. Like waking up, like having no worries at all, and just like go with the wind. And yeah, I think we had something earlier about this
Yeah,
whole.
but this is yeah, sorry, but this is the Peter Pan idea again, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
Not worry about anything, like
Yeah,
not growing up.
yeah.
Yeah, sure, that would be nice, but that's not how life works, especially not as a man. You
Mm,
have responsibilities, part of which is really just if you don't have any responsibilities, you are at least responsible for your life
yeah.
and to make it work out in some way that is actually beneficial for you.
Mm,
So this is really just again where I come back to this. That this is a very teenage, childish movie, really.
yes. Yes.
That you suddenly learn you have responsibilities in your life. You need to take care of people, and you just want to have it back,
Yeah.
your old life, where mommy took care of everything. Where we also come back to communism, right?
Mm,
Um, where the government takes care of everything. Yeah,
yeah.
it's this childish immaturity behavior and idea that once you lose everything and you don't need to take care of everything, you are free to be who you want to be. Yeah, but that's not how life works, my
Yeah, so
friend.
say it's the complete opposite, you know. I mean, imagine you wake up, you have like 10 million liquid on your bank account. I would feel pretty fucking free to do whatever I want to do,
Exactly.
and also
Yeah.
also able what I want to do. For example, if I wanna spend the rest of my days at the beach in I don't know fucking Caribbean Sea, yeah, I'm free to do anything, but I don't have the money for the flight, you know. If I give away anything that belongs to me, so it's again something that contradicts itself. It's a nice, sweet, cool, edgy idea, communist idea. There's a reason why it worked so well. Why communism is so charismatic. It offers you a very easy exit.
Yes.
Because the hard exit is capitalism. Work hard, play hard, you know. But communism is like basically asking you to give up.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
It's yes, I said before, communism or even leftism itself is really just immaturity, right? Because you want everything in your life should be taken care of by the government or other
Mm.
people. So you get your pocket money from mother government, right? We
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about this
Yeah.
before, and this is then how then you can do what you want, right?
Mm.
And yeah, capitalism and actual. This is why I like capitalism so much because it mimics the true laws of the universe. That
Mhm.
you have to do hard shit, and the only reason you actually ever become successful in capitalism is a through some sort of intelligence. You should at least not be stupid,
Mhm.
but most people aren't, so this is fine. At least I would say intelligence-wise, not from their common sense, but anyway.
Yeah.
And the second thing is effort,
Mm.
like putting in the effort to actually do something, to create something of worth for people,
Mhm.
and then you will be rich and you can be free.
Mm.
But
That's a
because
dream,
this
man.
is
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, and this is so funny because people talk about communism and how it would make them free. Like for example, here in Fight Club, losing all hope or losing everything and then being free. Yeah, but you aren't because if the government gives you your means of survival, which is money, right, then you are a slave to whatever the government wants from you.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't understand how people not see that.
Mm.
It just eludes me how because it's so obvious, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's basically contradicting. There's also this other quote from Tyler Durden where he says, I mentioned this he coined the term unique snowflake, and he goes like, "You're
Yeah.
not a beautiful and unique snowflake. You're the same decaying organic matter as everyone else. We are all part of the same compost pile. our culture has made us all the same. No one is truly white or black or rich anymore. We all want the same individually. We are nothing, stuff like that. That's brainwashing, man. I mean, okay,
Yeah, that's absolutely communist brainwashing.
yeah.
Everyone is the same.
Yeah. That's. I mean, there are people who are white and people who are black. There are
Yep.
people who are rich and people who are poor. It's bullshit to say stuff like that. And maybe when I was like younger, I didn't understand this, but working on being rich myself now, it's not something I would want to share with anyone else because I worked for it. I'm gonna keep this for myself. I'm not gonna share this with anyone. That's
Yes, also, yeah, exactly. You worked very hard to get this. You put in a lot of effort into getting that money or the wealth, so to speak.
Yeah.
Same with me. Like, for example, people now think, or the communists rather, everyone should, or the wealth should be shared with everyone, right? And I, who run my own business, I've spent years building up self-conquering. Why would I share anything I make from that with anyone who have done nothing for that?
It's like people asking Elon Musk to give like
Yes.
every person $10,000. Like that's not how it works, man.
And that's also even if he is truly so
Generous,
detached from the money, even generous, also detached from the money, that he wouldn't care about the money itself because he just wants to change society. It's all fine, but still, he made that by what he did for society, how he changed it.
Yeah.
This is his reward, so to speak. Even if he cannot spend all of it in his life, of course, sure, but it's a metric of how much he did.
Yeah.
Why would he give that away? All of it. I don't understand. Now, obviously, giving to charity and all of this is fine, and people do it. I understand it. It's all good. But being forced to give your wealth away by the state, which is what communism is, right? To make it even for everyone and give people who virtually do nothing for society and other people. Why would they get my money? I don't understand that. It's just bullshit.
There's another quote here. I think we're going in circles, but this is I believe one of the probably the most dangerous quote, and it shows the immaturity of Chuck. I believe I spelled his name wrong all the time. It's like Palahniuk.
Isn't that an H? Isn't it Palahniuk?
Palahniuk. And I was always like Palahniuk. I was like, oh, okay.
It's just Chuck, all right?
All right, let's go with Chuck P. Okay, Chuck P.
Yeah,
the author of Fight Club. It's a little bit long. I'm gonna go through it. It's important to get a message in the end. An entire generation pumping gas, waiting tables, slaves with white collars. Advertising has us chasing cars and clothes, working jobs we hate so we can buy shit we don't need. I would like to quit there and not quit, but to pause there. Do you chase nice cars and clothes because of advertising, or do you do it for another reason? Because as for me, I'm not doing it because I saw it in an ad.
Yeah, for example, have you ever seen an ad about a Lamborghini? Because I didn't.
No.
I just know this is a great car because I've read up about it, and this is why I want one. It's
like the cars that are put in ads, I'm not really interested in them.
Yes, exactly.
It's like a Dacia or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Take that, man. You're gonna continue. We're the middle children of history, man. No purpose or place. We have no great war, no great depression. Our great war is a spiritual war. Our great depression is our lives. What are we gonna do with that, man?
Well, you see, he used the word purpose there, and I agree with the basic notion that you need purpose, but not that your purpose should be some big apocalypse in society.
Yeah, that's like he's almost like saying, "Oh, I'm mad that we don't have Third World War right now. Help me! I need a purpose." Where it's.
And this is what I meant with the apocalypse earlier, when people are longing towards this. It would probably give you a purpose in your life. I get it, that you need to fight in a war or build up society again, whatever. But trust me that you don't want that, my friend. You don't want a Third World War. You just don't. It's just because you now feel you have nothing to do. But then, this is also so weird to me. Like, I talked about this before. The Spartans, for example, they had their purpose from birth, right? Mm-hmm. The only purpose for them was to become a warrior in the Spartan army, right? This gave them purpose, so they had something to become, something to do, so they didn't think about the depression of their life. All right, fine. But the great thing about today's society is that you actually can choose your own purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You have the freedom, hint, freedom to
Yeah.
choose your own purpose, to become what you want to be.
Yeah.
You just need to put in the effort. I don't understand how this is a bad thing. I'm a little bit triggered.
Yeah. Do not trigger Mr. Graves here. Oh my god, ladies and gentlemen. Last quote, last sentence. This is really, really. Oof. This sounds like it's written by a teenage boy. We've been all raised by television to believe that one day we'll be all millionaires and movie gods and rock stars, but we won't, and we are slowly learning the fact, and we are very, very pissed off. Reading this, like, I don't know what to say about this, man.
Yeah, it's just a childish tantrum there.
It sounds like a threat almost, you know.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, it's again like they did in the reviews for Joker, right? When they were virtually threatening that there are many Jokers potentially out there. And like this, here's pretty much the same. This whole generation is pissed off about whoever it was who told them they'd be millionaires. I don't even know. Television. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily have an issue with that sentence. It's just like I can sense there is an agenda behind it. Because yes, there has been a day in my life when I was realizing, oh, it sounds like, again, tinfoil hat material, but yeah, I was watching TV. It's like watching all those casting shows where someone accidentally becomes like a pop star, stuff like that, you know. We're being taught this is the way it works. It's like it happens by accident, not by hard work and all this stuff. And there was a day, or there was maybe many days, where I was slowly learning the fact as well, and I was very, very pissed off. And I think it's okay to be very, very pissed off. The question is, what are you gonna do afterwards? You know, are you gonna rebel? Are you gonna turn to anarchy, or are you gonna say, oh, television has lied to me. I actually have to put the work into it, so I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna prove everyone wrong. You know, that's the question you gotta ask yourself. Same with your situation where you said, okay, I didn't grow up with a father. Either I can look for another father figure, or I can find the father figure in myself, basically. Or I'm gonna rebel. I'm gonna become a drug addict and a loser in life, basically. And it shows. You always have a choice, man.
Exactly, that is the key. It's also, you put this very well, but also I like this whole thing reads very, very negative about life, very nihilistic again, and this whole, like, our Great Depression is our lives. What kind of an outlook on life is that?
Yeah.
Like, if you really think that your life is depressive and shit, then do something about it.
Yeah.
Like, what does this quote even do? Like, if you say this or even read it and believe in it, you think suddenly someone will read that when you post it on Twitter and think, all right, I gotta change society now. I'm gonna fix your life, gentlemen, whoever you are.
Yeah.
It's not how this works at all. You gotta do it yourself. Nobody is coming to save you. That's just how it is. And I totally agree. At some point, I learned as well that TV is virtually lying all the time. And if you even if you look at who's becoming very successful these days in the music industry, like especially the pop people, you know, you just know, because these people have no idea how to sing at all, and they're just very bad, and like even look stupid with their stupid tattoos on their face.
Talk about 6ix9ine, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. It was Takeshi's dude, whatever his name is. I don't fucking know. You just know that this guy is stupid, fucking stupid, and he has no idea how anything works, but he was pushed to be famous. So you are depressed about that because you think you're better, and you probably are, but
yeah, I mean, we are laughing about this. We are laughing about this right now, right? But imagine someone with a 9-to-5 job coming at home from his really like working like a slave, so that his family can eat, and that's what he sees on the TV, like some idiot who has no talent at all. Of course, it pisses you off. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, of course. But this is again where I say, like I did in the video, that depression is intentional.
Yes.
This is made by design. So when you come home from your 9-to-5, you feel shit about this sack of shit who actually makes all this money, and you don't. And this is then where you realize that everything, or you should realize that this is all set up. But most people don't realize this. They just think, how the hell did this guy make it and I don't, and then they feel bad about themselves. And this is really the weird result out of this for me.
Yeah.
If anything, you should see that it's all obviously bullshit, and television has been lying to you. But then again, people believe this trash to the nail, so I don't understand. But yeah. But yeah, back to the quote. This is actually a very, very, very negative, nihilistic, bad communist quote. It's really, I don't even know any positive thing I would take from that quote.
Yeah, it's see, it is like it's like a spell. You watch the movies like, oh my god, that's so cool, that's so edgy, but then afterwards you're being left very empty, and don't endorse this at all. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Oh yeah, that's I believe that the next quote is just like an addition to that. I believe what we just said. It's again from Tyler. Our great war is a spiritual, our great depression is our lives. Okay, we had that one. Gonna skip that one. Last one for the show, and then we are also finished. Is a comment I found on YouTube. And it's very interesting because it mirrors what we just said throughout the whole stream from Music Kmotch or whatever. Watched it last night after... It was on the Some Review, don't know where and when, who cares. Watched it last night after at least 15 years. I'm watching as Tyler Durden says, everything you own ends up owning you. And I look around my nice house and cars on the drive and I'm like, yeah, never has a truer word been spoken. What is your answer to something like that?
Oh yeah, I actually agree with that to some degree. Like, of course, everything you own ends up owning you, as in you will have to take care of it, right? But this is just part of responsibility. For example, if you buy a house, obviously you now have bills to take care of. I mean, this is obvious, but also you have to take care of the house itself. This is extra work you didn't have before. But does it make the house bad? I don't think so. It just means you have... It's just like people buy houses and they don't realize that there's actually more work involved in that, obviously. It's just like people... You sent me this meme earlier, right? When they start their own business to escape the 9 to 5 and now they work 24/7. I mean, in the beginning, especially, of course, it's all true. What you own to some degree ends up owning you, but is this a bad thing?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
I don't know, man. It's like... Look, if I have a nice house and a nice car, those things don't own me. I own them. I paid for them. You know, that's like, it's of course it's like getting a pet, like a dog. You know, of course I have responsibility after I bought a puppy. You know, it's my responsibility to keep this little sucker alive. That's of course that's the same thing. But I wouldn't say that makes my dog own me. No, I own this.
Yeah.
I own this piece of shit. You know, that's that's the thought behind that. I don't know why people say this stuff. I would say a house or a super nice supercar can own you if you actually don't have much money. If you don't have enough money to entertain this whole lifestyle. But if you have, like I said, like 10 million liquid, and you just go into the store buy a Lamborghini, you own that shit. You own that shit, and you don't think about quotes like that. I would think about stuff like that if I would make not enough money every day and say, oh my god, this all I can think about is the house I need to pay, like having bills to pay and stuff. Yeah, then it owes you, but then it's not the fault of your possessions, it's the fault of your income.
Exactly.
You know?
This is, I think, exactly what this dude meant when he looks around his nice house and cars on the drive. Probably because he cannot actually afford them. This is probably the key. This means he has to think about how to pay the bills. He has to, like, he's also afraid of things breaking down, right? Because it would be extra bills he has to pay. And this then starts owning you, of course, because then you are living in fear of that, for example. In my opinion, this is also a bad mindset, because even if you buy a house or a supercar or whatever, you can always sell it, right? If it just doesn't work out anymore. It's not like this now is completely tied to your leg or something like that. But people really start to chain themselves actually to these things, and then this quote makes sense if you chain yourself to it, of course, and if you cannot actually afford it, yes. But if you do it properly, and you buy a house because you can actually afford it, or a car or whatever, then it doesn't really own you. You own it, as you said it.
My other take would be that this is, I believe, what he could also mean is like his whole criticism towards consumerism, and it's like, I bought a house, I bought cars to make me happy, you know, and it didn't work.
Oh yeah.
Which obviously doesn't work if you don't have a greater purpose in life. I could have all the cars in the work, but I wouldn't change them in a second for the purpose I'm currently working on. I wouldn't change it in a second. Take everything from me, but give me my purpose. You know.
Yes. Exactly.
This is, and I believe this is also what he could probably mean by the way he writes. I'm assuming maybe he's single. Maybe he doesn't have a wife. Maybe he doesn't have kids. Something's lacking, and of course that makes a house very empty. That makes cars very. That takes away the joy from them. You know.
Yeah, of course. That's another good take, actually.
Could be, you know. I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, this is because this consumerism thing. You're very right. Just buying these things because you're told from advertisement. If you fall for this, obviously, then it doesn't do anything. It's a short dopamine rush, okay? Yeah. Because it didn't actually want it. You were just told you should have it because it makes you happy, but it doesn't. Then yeah, I totally agree with that. Then it ends up owning you because you probably bought it, although you couldn't actually afford it. And you're still searching to fill that void in your soul, and buying these things doesn't do it.
Yeah.
So what's really lacking then there is obviously the purpose. And this is also, I agree with you, why I always say the purpose is divine, because it stands above everything else, even your own family. And I mean that.
Yes.
Because this stays with you until your last day. Anything else might leave, might not leave, whatever, but your purpose will always be with you. This is why I think it's so important.
Yeah, and that's something I did not recognize at all throughout the movie. This was something that was completely lacking there. You know, at least I briefly mentioned earlier Wolf of Wall Street, but at least his purpose was, as childish as it is, make as much money as possible. But at least there was a purpose. It was like a clear goal, and he reached it, and it was like, yeah, doing the nicest parties on the planet now. You know, it's cool and all that stuff. At least he had a purpose, yeah.
Yes, exactly. If it works for him, that's totally fine. Yeah. Wouldn't be something for me, but it's fine. If you want to have that, go ahead, totally. But at least you have something to strive for, you know, something you want to achieve. As opposed to your only goal being buying the next cool Mercedes or iPhone and quote-unquote saving up for the lease. You're not really saving up for that, but, you know. If that is really your own purpose in life, and you buy all these, as it is in the beginning of the movie, right? These IKEA things from that brochure. Of course, it doesn't fill you or fill your soul with something. Of course not, because it's pointless. Yeah.
Yes, I would say, consumerism. Talking consumerism from that standpoint, I would say, the movie definitely hits the spot. But apart from that, it's pretty empty.
Yeah, I think he took it too far, because obviously I agree that consumerism is bad because it doesn't really help you in any case. But he then conceded out of that capitalism is a bad thing, and this is where I disagree. Yeah. Because just because consumerism is bad doesn't mean that capitalism suddenly is the evil thing. Because if you fall for this consumerism, that's your issue. That's not the fault of capitalism.
Definitely. What would be like if you had to rate the movie? We're approaching the end of the podcast. If you had to rate the movie from 10 stars, how much would you give it out of 10?
Maybe 5. I guess something in that direction. Because some things are, I would say 5 if you actually watch it and think about it. Because if you see some things like we talked about and then make the correct result out of it or take the correct decision from it, then fine. But if you just watch it and take anything as gospel that's in the movie, then that's bad. Yeah, I'm
a bit disappointed in the IMDb stuff, because it says 8.8 out of 10, which is which brings it to a very, very high place in the top 250. I don't know what place it holds, but 1.9 million people rated it this way, and it's pretty pretty close to a perfect movie. So yeah.
Yeah, it is one of the highest rated, right, on IMDb.
Yes, let me
I think top
quickly check
10
the
or something.
top 250 on IMDb. Yeah, Shawshank's still on one.
Yeah.
Godfather, Dark Knight, Godfather 2, and Fight Club is at number 10.
Oh, it's top 10. All right.
Yeah, it's basically, yeah, it's definitely top 10. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't belong there, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
see, Matrix is on number 16. I was like, okay, you change those two. Go on, put Fight Club on
Yeah.
16. Yeah,
Yeah, I think. I mean,
I cannot see why this is like an 8.8. I can see this is like a cool idea, especially with the plot twist and all this stuff. Like, say, wow, this he has been the same person all along. Yeah,
yeah,
it's like cool, but it's not like I would say, wow, it belongs in the top 10 of the best movies of all time. And I cannot quite understand what makes this movie so fucking great, because when I look at the top 10 on IMDb, pretty much agree with everything that is there up there. You know, we have Pulp Fiction,
yes,
we have Schindler's List, Lord of the Rings, Godfather Part 1 and Part 2, The Dark Knight, Shawshank Redemption. Pretty much agree with all of that. Those are all great.
yes.
And then we have Fight Club, and I was like, no,
Nope.
that's not what I put up there. Nah.
Yeah, that's not it. I think the reason why people like it is because, again, like much like with the Joker, they can relate to it
Mm-hmm.
without realizing the implications of it. Again,
Yeah.
because they don't want to think about it. They relate to it because, yeah, it's this materialistic life they live as well,
Mm-hmm.
and they see it on there and how it's bullshit, and obviously all these edgy quotes and all of this, and then they say, "Oh yeah, damn, that's true."
Yeah. Yeah.
But then they don't see that there is actually no solution to this whole thing in the movie, and
Mm.
it's actually very nihilistic, which is what makes it bad, very bad actually. But they already made up their decision about the movie at that point, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it could also be like some sort of bias, because when I was first watching Godfather, it was because it was like the highest rated movie back in the days, before Shawshank claimed number one.
Yeah, maybe.
It's still a little bit pending. Sometimes the Godfather takes more. When I first watched it, I was like super confused. You remember the stream with it on Godfather? I was like, is that like the best movie of all time?
Yeah.
And every time I watch it, it gets better and better. Like, I see now why this is the best movie.
Yeah.
And would I say it's my personal number one? Probably not, but it's very, very much up there. It's one of the best movies, definitely. Yeah,
Yes.
it could be a bit of a bias, you know. You see Fight Club, everyone is talking great about this stuff. It's in the top 10, and then you automatically. It was hard for me to say, okay, we do a roasting episode
Yeah,
on Fight
right.
Club. What are people gonna say about this? You know, I don't know. Could be bias. I don't know. It's
It
not.
is probably a part of it in there.
Mm. Yeah, I would probably agree. We'll give it a 4 out of 10, maybe 5 out of 10. But yeah, speaking of all things, cinematography, music, and all that, like acting, probably a little bit up there, like 6 or
Yeah,
7 out of
maybe.
10.
Yeah. The acting
Um,
was actually very good. Yeah, I
mhm.
agree.
Yeah, when it comes to like practically applicable lessons in there, probably a 1 out of 10. But yeah, that's for movie
Yeah.
speaking wise, it's still a beautiful shot movie, nice movie, nice movie. I think, even though we said no teenagers should watch this movie, I think everyone should at least watch this movie. Like, watch this movie if you haven't seen it. Make up your own mind. It's definitely a should have seen once in your life. Definitely. I'm not trying to bash this movie too hard. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have seen it and then take your own lessons from it.
Of course. Yeah. All right, Alex. That's it for today.
Yes.
We'll be back next week again, and yeah. Alex, any last words for the precious Red Smoke audience?
Should I just say no again?
Yeah, it's like it was such a nice moment last night. It's like, any nice ones say no. It's like, okay, goodbye. Yeah, okay, let's do it this way. Okay. If you don't have anything, then okay, that's it. Talk to you next week. Yeah, I have to end this awkwardly. All right, goodbye, everybody. See you next week.